Ilari sat alone in the corner of the slave transport cage. Her knees were pulled tight to her chest and her arms wrapped around them. The others stayed away from her not because she was dangerous, but because her skin betrayed her. It shimmered with soft colors that changed with her feelings. Right now, it glowed pale blue, the color of fear and shame. She had learned from a young age to control her colors, but today she had failed. When the merchant shouted at her, she had flinched. And her skin had turned orange-red, the wrong color at the wrong time, and for that she had been punished again. The other alien slaves stared, but said nothing. They knew what happened to color shifters. They were marked as unstable, emotional, weak, and in the markets. Weakness was a curse, so Ilari tried to stay gray, neutral, empty, safe. But even now, her skin betrayed her. Her pale blue glow flickered across the floor. It danced on the dirty metal walls as if whispering her fear to everyone around. She pressed her forehead against her knees and squeezed her eyes shut. "Be gray," she whispered to herself. "Just be gray." The cage door opened with a hiss. A tall human man stepped inside. His clothes were simple, dusty from long travel. He had no guards, no whip, no collar in hand, just a quiet face and tired eyes. The merchant behind him grinned. "That one?" he asked, pointing at Ilari. The man nodded. Yes, Ilari didn't move. She waited for the order, the command, the chain, instead. The man walked over slowly and crouched beside her. His voice was soft. "I'm Logan," he said. Here to take you." Her skin flashed yellow confusion. He didn't notice at first, or maybe he did, but didn't react. No shout, no slap, no harsh words, just silence. She hesitated, then stood up slowly. Her legs wobbled, but she managed. The merchant handed over the data chip and walked away. "Good luck, human," he laughed. "She's broken." Logan looked at Ilari, then at the chains on her wrists. "Do you want these off?" he asked. Her skin turned pink in certain hope. He reached gently, slowly unlocking the cuffs. When his fingers brushed against her skin, she gasped. A burst of gold exploded across her arms. Bright and shimmering like sunlight, she covered herself. Quickly, stepping back, "No," she whispered. "Don't touch me again." Logan raised his hands, showing peace. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to scare you." Ilari lowered her head, shaking. She had never turned gold before. No one had ever touched her like that, not kindly, not gently, and gold. Gold meant something dangerous, something forbidden. They walked in silence toward his small shuttle. She expected cold metal floors, harsh lights, cages, but instead the inside was warm, small, and filled with soft blankets, tools, and the smell of cooked food. It didn't feel like a cage. It felt human. Logan showed her a seat and sat across from her. "I don't need a servant," he said suddenly. "I just couldn't leave you there." She stared at him, her skin now a pale silver. She didn't understand. Why would a human do that? "Eat if you're hungry," he added, pointing to the food. She looked at the plate, then at him. No shock collar. She asked, voice shaky. He shook his head. No. No punishment for wrong color. He blinked. Wrong color. She turned her hand upward, showing the soft silver shimmer. "I can't control it all the time," she whispered. "They say it makes me broken." Logan leaned back, thinking, "I don't think broken is the right word." He said, "I think it's honest." Her skin rippled in surprise light purple. No one had ever called her honest. Most called her trouble, liar, emotion leaker. But Logan's voice didn't carry judgment. Only curiosity, like he was trying to understand her, not fix her. Later that night, when she lay curled on the floor mat he gave her, she stared at the ceiling, her skin dim but steady. For the first time in years, she didn't try to hide her colors. She let them come soft blue, gentle pink, a flicker of gold, and as her eyes drifted closed, she thought of the human man. The one who didn't treat her like property, the one who touched her and didn't hurt her. And for a brief moment, her skin shimmered again, bright, soft, and glowing with something new. A color she didn't have a name for yet. LR woke up to a soft humming sound. It wasn't loud or sharp. Just a quiet vibration coming from the ship's core. For a moment, she forgot where she was, the warmth of the blanket, the smooth surface under her, the calm atmosphere. It all felt unreal. Then she remembered she was no longer on the slave ship. She was with a human named Logan. She sat up quickly, her skin flashing pale green in certainty. Was this still safety, or just another cage with better walls? She heard movement and turned her head. Logan was in the front cabin, working with tools and muttering to himself. The soft scent of food drifted again through the small living space. Illyri's stomach growled before she could stop it. Logan heard the sound and smiled. "You're awake," he said gently. "There's food, if you want." Illyri nodded slowly, walking toward the table where a plate of warm bread and soup waited. Her skin shifted from green to soft lavender, cautious but calm. She sat down without being ordered, without being watched like prey. It still felt strange as she ate quietly. Logan sat across from her, watching not rudely, but thoughtfully. "You change colors based on feelings," he said. Not asking, but observing. Illyri froze, her spoon halfway to her mouth. "Yes," she whispered, "my kind does." "What color was that yesterday?" he asked. "When I touched your arm and it turned gold." Illyri's hands trembled slightly. "I don't know," she admitted. "I've never turned gold before." Logan leaned forward, curious. "Never?" She shook her head. "Not even with your own people?" "No one touches us," she said. "Touch is forbidden?" Logan frowned, trying to understand. "But why?" "Touch isn't always bad. To us, it's dangerous," she replied. "Our bodies react too strongly." He sat back in his chair, quiet for a moment. Then he said, "But yesterday? You didn't seem scared when it happened." Illyri looked away, her skin flickering orange redembersement. "I didn't know what I felt," she whispered. "It wasn't fear, but it wasn't safe either." Logan nodded slowly. "I won't touch you again unless you ask," he promised. Illyri blinked, surprised. Most masters never asked what she wanted. They just took what they wanted and punished her if she reacted. Later that day, Logan showed her how the ship worked. He explained the panels, the wires, and the tools with patience. Illyri didn't know much about machines, but she listened closely every time she asked a question. Her skin shimmered bright yellow curiosity, and every time Logan answered, he smiled like her questions mattered. When evening came, the ship landed on a small green moon. They needed supplies. And Logan didn't want to leave her alone. "You don't have to talk," he said gently. "Just stay close." Illyri nodded, wrapping her scarf tightly and pulling her hood low. If others saw her shifting skin, there would be trouble. They walked through a busy market filled with aliens of all kinds. Illyri stayed quiet, her eyes scanning everything with wonder and worry. No one looked at her twice till a young alien boy ran past and bumped into her. Her hood fell, exposing her shimmering face blue, then pink, then back to gray. Gasps spread around them, emotion skin. Someone whispered, "She's one." Of them, a rough-looking alien stepped forward, sneering, "Where did you steal her from, human?" Logan calmly stepped between Illyri and the stranger. "She's with me," he said firmly. "Step back." The alien laughed. "She's a freak," before things could escalate. Illyri stepped forward, her skin turning deep emerald. "I'm not a freak," she said quietly, but clearly. "I'm just different." The crowd fell silent. No one expected her to speak. No one expected her to stand. Logan reached out slowly, not touching, but offering his hand nearby. Ellery looked at it, heart racing. Then, very carefully, she placed her hand near his, just close enough to feel. The warmth, her skin suddenly changed to shimmering gold with streaks of silver. A hushed gasp ran through the crowd. No one had ever seen those colors mixed together. It wasn't fear, or anger, or shame. It was something new, something beautiful. Logan gently pulled her hood back up and said, "Let's go." The market didn't follow. Didn't stop them. They only watched, curious, confused, maybe even a little inspired. Back on the ship, Ellery sat quietly by the window. Logan placed a blanket over her shoulders and handed her warm tea. "Thank you," she whispered. He smiled. "For what?" "For letting me be me." Her skin glowed again, soft white this time. A peaceful color, a color she had never shown before. And deep inside, she wondered if humans could see her emotions so clearly. Maybe one of them could also help her understand the ones she didn't even have names for yet. The stars outside the ship twinkled gently as the night drifted over the small moon. Inside the quiet vessel, Ellery sat curled on the edge of a soft cushion. She stared through the window, watching the stars. Her skin shifting in slow waves of lavender and soft silver. The calm felt strange, but peaceful. She wasn't used to feeling safe, especially not in silence. Logan was working at the console across the room, adjusting the ship's systems. He looked up every now and then, just to make sure she was okay. She didn't speak much, but she didn't hide from him either. That, in itself, was a small miracle for the last 2 days. They hadn't spoken about what happened at the market, about the colors she had shown. The gold, the silver, the white. No one had ever seen such shades before, not even among her own kind. Even Ellery didn't know what they meant, but they had made people stare, whisper, and fear her. Later that evening, Logan brought her some fruit slices and sat beside her. He didn't say anything at first. Then, softly, he asked, "How are you feeling now?" Ellery gave a small shrug, her skin flickering sky blue, confused peace. "I don't know," she whispered, "like I'm floating." "But watched?" He tilted his head. "Watched." She nodded. "Since the market, do you think someone followed us?" She didn't answer, but her skin darkened to green, a sign of unease. Logan took the hint, and his fingers tapped quickly over the security console. He activated the scanners, setting alerts for any ship signals nearby, just in case. That night, Ellery couldn't sleep. She wandered through the dim hallway of the ship, arms folded, skin dull gray. Her mind swirled with memories of pain, fear, chains, and now hope. Hope was the strangest one. It was warm but sharp, like it could disappear in an instant. She stopped outside the storage room and sat on the cold floor. The hum of the ship was steady, but then she heard it, faint, low, distant, a voice whispering through the vents. Her heart stopped. She leaned in, trying to hear. Emotion shifter. With a human, the voice was male, unfamiliar. Saw the gold. Reported to Central. Her breath caught in her throat. Someone was talking about her. She wasn't imagining it. She ran to the cockpit, her skin now glowing sharp orange. Panic. Logan woke with a start, grabbing his tool belt. "What is it?" he asked, standing. "Fast voices," she gasped, "in the vents. They said." Central. Logan's face turned serious. He activated the internal audio scans. Static. Then a faint signal. "Capture if possible. Remove if necessary. Priority status, emotion anomaly." Ellery stepped back, her skin turning nearly black terror. Logan looked at her. "They want to take you." Ellery nodded slowly, tears filling her eyes. "I'm a threat to them now," she whispered. "I'm showing emotions they can't control." He clenched his jaw, pacing quickly. "We can't stay here," he said. They'll track us by morning. Elari looked at him, her voice trembling. I don't want to go back in a cage. You won't, Logan said firmly. Not as long as I'm breathing. They packed quickly. Loading supplies and locking down the ship, the engines started with a roar, and the ship lifted into the dark sky as they rose. 2 patrol ships lit up on scanners, closing in fast. Elari held onto the wall, her skin flashing between orange and red panic and fear. Logan's hands moved fast over the controls, trying to dodge the sensors. They're jamming us, he muttered, trying to force us to land. Elari stepped forward. Let me try. Logan blinked. Try what? I know how to feel what they're planning, she said. It's part of what I am. He stared at her for a second, then nodded. She closed her eyes, placing her hand on the control panel. Her skin began to shimmer. First soft green, then electric blue. She felt it pressure from the ships, their scanners, their intent, and then a weakness in their pattern. There, she pointed, that direction. Now. Logan trusted her, turning hard, and the ship slipped through the blind spot. The enemy lost tracking for a moment, just enough time to escape. They soared past a ring of debris, then into a dense asteroid field. The patrol ships turned away, unwilling to follow blindly. They were safe for now, after the escape. Logan turned to her, his face full of awe. How did you know that? She shrugged, skin now pale blue and silver. I don't know, she whispered. I felt it. He smiled softly. Maybe that's your power, not just changing colors, but understanding what others can't. Elari sat down slowly, her body tired, her soul heavy. She looked up at him and said, I'm scared, Logan. He placed a soft blanket around her shoulders, careful not to touch. You have every right to be, he said. But you're not alone anymore. For the first time that night, Elari smiled, just a little, and her skin shimmered again, this time, in quiet gold. Not fear, not pain, but trust. A color born in the dark because someone chose to stand beside her. Elari slept only for a few hours, curled up beside the engine room, even in sleep. Her body shimmered a soft mix of blue, violet, and gold, colors that should never have blended, yet now lived together across her skin. Logan sat nearby, awake, watching the scanners with sharp eyes. He knew their escape had bought them time, but not safety. In the early hours, the silence broke. An incoming signal crackled on the comms. A warning beacon from the Central Authority. It was short, but clear. All stations be advised. Wanted emotion shifter female, accompanied by human male. Approach with caution. Logan sighed, rubbing his tired face. They made you a target, he muttered. And me, too. Elari opened her eyes slowly, blinking at the message. Her skin dimmed, then shifted to Storm, gray, exhausted, and afraid. I didn't ask for this, she whispered. I only wanted to be left alone. Logan knelt beside her. You have nothing to be sorry for. You don't understand, she said quietly. They're not just scared of me. They hate what I represent. He looked at her, confused. What do you mean? She held up her glowing hand. Feelings that can't be hidden. Love that glows through your skin. Peace that shines. It threatens control. He paused, then said, so they fear the color, not the person. Elari nodded. They fear change. By midday, they reached an old mining colony deep in an asteroid belt. It was mostly abandoned, but Logan knew someone there, woman named Commander Vexa. A former soldier, now running a tiny refueling post. She owed Logan a favor. As they landed, Elari covered herself fully with a long cloak. Even though her skin still glowed softly beneath the fabric, inside the dim docking bay, Commander Vexa waited with 2 guards. She had gray skin, metal arms, and a cold stare. Logan, she said with a nod. Didn't expect to see you with a bounty on your head? He smirked. You still owe me that favor. She looked past him at Ilari, that her. Ilari stood still, silent, hood down, skin hidden. Vexa raised an eyebrow. Is it true? Her skin changes with emotion. Logan stepped in front. She's not a weapon. I didn't say she was, Vexa replied, but that gold. I've heard stories they moved inside the command center, where lights flickered and machines hummed. Ilari sat in a corner while Logan and Vexa spoke. She listened quietly, hearing words like central bounty, tracking tags, and illegal genetic. Her skin flickered between red and green anger and nervousness. Vexa eventually turned to her and asked, "Why do they fear your colors so much?" Ilari looked up slowly, lowering her hood. Her face glowed with soft blue sadness. "Because they can't lie to me," she whispered, "and I can't lie to anyone." There was silence in the room. Even Vexa paused, unsure what to say. Then she crossed her arms. "You can stay here for now, but if the patrols come, I can't stop them." Logan nodded, understood. Later that night, Ilari walked alone through the metal corridors of the station. She passed a group of miners, who stared at her glowing skin with wide eyes. They whispered behind her, "Is that the emotion girl? Look at her light. It's beautiful. But dangerous. She shouldn't be here." Ilari tried to ignore them, but their voices followed her like smoke. She entered the small hydro garden and sat beside the water tank. Her reflection shimmered in the surface green, gold, rose, white, violet. So many colors, all fighting inside her. She wanted to hide, to disappear, but another part of her wanted to be seen. Suddenly, she felt a presence. One of the miners had followed her. He stepped closer, his expression full of fear and curiosity. "Is it true," he asked, "that your skin turns gold when you feel something too strong?" Ilari didn't answer. "Then show me," he whispered, stepping closer. "Show me what it looks like." She backed away, skin turning red, warning. "I said, back away," she said, her voice shaking, but he didn't listen. Reaching for her arm, the moment his hand touched her sleeve, a flash of pure golden white light exploded across her body. He screamed and fell backward, eyes wide, as if blinded. Others came running at the sound. They saw her standing there, glowing brighter than anyone had ever seen. Her whole body was shining gold, silver, and white, like fire made of light, like truth itself. Commander Vexa arrived and held the crowd back. Ilari stood tall, her body trembling, but her eyes steady. "Don't touch me," she said quietly. "Unless you want to see what you've been hiding from." No one moved, no one dared. Logan rushed in and pulled her close, checking her face. "Are you okay?" Ilari nodded, her skin slowly softening into gentle silver. "Yes," she whispered. "But now they know why they fear me." That night, every corner of the colony buzzed with whispers, not just about the emotion girl. Alarms echoed through the old mining station. Red lights flashed on the walls, and voices shouted through the comms. Commander Vex's voice came over the speaker, tense and sharp. "Central patrol ships approaching 2 minutes out." Logan grabbed Ilari's arm. Gently but urgently, "They found us," he said. "We have to go now." Ilari's skin turned pale blue with panic, streaked with golden certainty and rising fear. "But the people," she whispered. "They saw what I am." He looked into her glowing eyes. "And that's why we can't stay." Vexa met them at the docking bay, her metal arms holding 2 gear packs. "I bought you some time," she said quickly. "But they'll land soon." "Thank you," Logan said, strapping the pack over his shoulder. Vexa looked at Ilari, her face unreadable. "You're not what I expected," she said. "You're more." Ilari's skin shimmered with gentle silver respect. Then they ran down the narrow corridors, past frightened miners, through tunnels built long ago. The air grew heavy with dust and pressure as the outside alarms grew louder. The emergency shuttle was hidden deep in the old cargo hold. Logan had left it ready, just in case. But the patrols were fast, and now, well, they were here, as they reached the final door. The lights flickered, a voice echoed through the hallway, robotic and cold. "Stand down and surrender the subject. This is your only warning." Alari stopped, her feet frozen, her skin darkening with black and gray. She could feel them on the other side of the wall. Their emotions weren't visible, but she could sense them: fear, hatred, orders with no mercy. "They won't take me alive," she whispered. Logan held her hand tightly. "They won't take you at all." He rushed to the control panel, trying to override the door, but the system blinked red-locked from outside. "No good," he muttered. "They've locked us in." Alari stepped back, her heart pounding. She looked around, breathing fast. Her skin shifted to orange, red, blue, silver, gold, emotions flooding through her. She could feel the pressure inside her rising. And then, something cracked. A wave of light pulsed from her body. Not just color, but heat, sound, and energy. The walls shimmered, the lights burst, and the floor shook slightly. Logan stepped back in shock, shielding his eyes. "Alari, what are you doing?" "I don't know," she said, voice shaking. "But it's coming out on the other side of the wall." The soldiers paused. Their scanners went wild, reading unknown energy. One shouted, "She's triggering something, fall back." But it was too late. The metal door began to glow, not from heat, but from Alari's light. It pulsed with her heartbeat, reacting to her presence. Then, like a ripple through still water, it shattered, not exploded, not melted, just vanished, leaving a clear path through the corridor. Alari fell to her knees, panting, her skin dimmed to soft violet, mixed with white. Logan knelt beside her, awe in his eyes. "You did that," he whispered. "You opened the path." They ran forward, dodging the few soldiers left, stunned by the blast of emotion. No one tried to stop them, some even stepped back. Afraid to touch her, they reached the emergency shuttle. And Logan jumped into the pilot's seat. Alari collapsed into the co-pilot chair, still breathing hard as the engines roared to life. More patrol ships circled above. "Logan," Alari said weakly. "They'll shoot us down." He looked at her, eyes calm. "Then do it again." She shook her head. "I don't know how." "Yes, you do," he said. "Feel it, whatever it is inside you, it's your strength." Alari closed her eyes and placed her hand on the control panel. She thought of the fear, the pain, the anger, the years of silence. But she also thought of the peace, the laughter, the warmth of Logan's voice. She reached deep inside and let the emotions flow. This time, she didn't try to control them. She embraced them. The ship shimmered with her light. The shields glowed gold and silver, bright enough to blind the tracking sensors. Lasers fired but missed, bending away as if pushed by unseen hands. The patrols panicked, shouting over the radio. Unknown energy barrier sheaths cloaking the ship. They soared into the stars, past the moons, into the deep void of space. When they were finally alone in the silence of space, Logan turned to her. "That was incredible," he said. Alari sat quietly, her skin glowing soft blue and rose. "I don't want to hurt anyone," she whispered. "You didn't?" he said. "You just showed them what they were afraid to see." She looked at her reflection in the glass colors still dancing across her skin. Not wild now, not chaotic, just peaceful. Like a painting of feelings, too deep for words. "I think," she said softly, "my emotions are not a weakness. They're your power." Logan said, smiling, "And they just saved us." Alari leaned back in her seat, finally breathing without fear. Her skin glowed a new color, bright teal. A color neither of them had seen before. A color born not from escape, but from freedom. The stars stretched endlessly outside the ship's window. Logan sat quietly in the pilot's seat, one hand resting on the controls. Beside him, Elari leaned against the wall. Her eyes half closed, her skin pulsed gently with a color he had never seen, bright teal. Glowing and soft, she looked peaceful, but deep inside. Her heart was still searching. They had escaped the patrols, the station, and the bounty. But Elari knew this wasn't the end. Her presence, the color she now carried, was starting to attract attention far beyond one colony. She was no longer just a girl who changed color. She was a question the galaxy couldn't answer. "Logan," she said softly, "what if they come again?" "They will," he replied without hesitation. "Then what's the point of running?" "We're not just running," he said. "We're heading somewhere safe, somewhere free." She turned her head toward him, her skin shifting to violet uncertainty. "Where is safe for someone like me?" Logan gave a tired smile. "I know a place. Where no one cares about skin, or color, or fear." She raised an eyebrow. "And they'll accept someone like me." "They'll accept you," he said. "Because I'll make them." They arrived on an independent planet called Tethranine. It was not ruled by the central authority. It was home to scientists, thinkers, outcasts, and exiles. People who believed in things bigger than rules. It was Logan's old home before the war. Before he left everything behind, they landed near a peaceful valley, surrounded by glowing trees and soft purple skies. Elari stepped out first, feeling the warm breeze on her skin. Her colors shimmered softly, sky blue and pale green, peaceful curiosity. Children ran nearby, laughing, chasing glowing insects through the grass. None of them stared at her skin. None of them ran away. They just smiled. An old man approached them near the research compound. He had silver hair, deep wrinkles, and eyes full of quiet fire. "Logan," he said with a firm handshake, "back from the dead." Logan chuckled. "Not quite. And who's this?" the man asked, looking at Elari before Logan could answer. Elari stepped forward. "I'm Elari," she said, standing tall. Her skin glowing gentle rose. The old man's eyes widened for a moment. But he didn't flinch. "I've heard about you," he said. "You made quite a wave." Elari lowered her eyes. "I didn't mean to. No one ever does," the man replied. "But waves are what move oceans." He introduced himself as Dr. Anselma, former emotion researcher. He led them to a quiet lab filled with old books, dusty screens, and energy readers. There, he scanned Elari's energy field, and what he saw left him speechless. "Your color reactions aren't just skin deep," he said slowly. "They alter the space around you." Logan leaned in. "What does that mean?" "Means she's not just showing emotion," Anselm whispered. "She's shaping reality with it." Elari's skin flickered silver and gold. "What does that mean for me?" she asked, her voice shaking. "It means," he said, "you're something new, something no species has seen before." Word spread quickly through the valley that a girl had arrived whose feelings lit up the sky. Some came to see her, curious. Some came to ask questions, but no one came to control her. Logan stayed by her side, answering what he could, protecting her when needed, and slowly Elari began to open. She started helping the researchers map emotional frequencies. When she felt peace, machines calmed. When she cried, rain formed in the sky. When she laughed, plants responded and bloomed faster. She was no longer hiding her colors. She was embracing them. One evening, after the work was done, Elari sat with Logan near a quiet stream. The sky was dark, filled with stars. She looked at her hands, glowing softly with white and gold. "Do you think I'm dangerous?" she asked, without looking up. Logan shook his head. "I think you're the most honest being I've ever met." Elari smiled, her skin turning rose-gold tenderness. "I was taught to be afraid of what I am." "Oh, but you're not afraid anymore," Logan said. "No." She replied, "Now I'm curious." That night, Elari stood in the middle of the valley. She raised her arms and let her feelings rise. No more hiding, no more shame, just truth. The sky shimmered as her body glowed: gold, silver, emerald. Violet, sapphire, white, a full spectrum never recorded, never replicated. The valley watched in silence, not with fear, but awe. Someone whispered, "She's not just emotion, she's evolution," said another. Logan stood in the crowd, smiling quietly, and Alari looked toward him with glowing eyes. She was no longer the girl in the cage. She was no longer afraid of the color she showed, because now she was the color they needed, the truth they could no longer deny. Days passed on the peaceful planet of Tethranine. Ellery now walked freely through the research valley, no longer hiding beneath a cloak. Her skin still changed color with emotion, but now people welcomed it. Children would giggle, and guess what? Color she would show next. Scientists carefully recorded her energy pulses, amazed by the gentle effect her presence had on the environment. But to Alari, none of that mattered as much as freedom. She was no longer property, no longer caged, no longer judged. She was herself, and that was finally enough. Logan stayed beside her every day, helping her adjust, defending her when necessary, and offering quiet strength. They didn't talk about what they were to each other, but something unspoken had formed between them. Something warm, something soft, something real. One evening, as the twin suns lowered behind the purple mountains, Elari stood by a small lake. Her skin was glowing in slow ripples of soft white and rose gold. She reached out and touched the surface of the water, watching it react. The ripples moved in perfect circles, glowing faintly, as if her emotions touched more than just light. They touched space itself. Logan stepped beside her with 2 warm cups of herbal tea. He handed her one and smiled. "You're glowing again." She laughed softly. "When am I not?" "I don't know what this color means," he said. "It's different." Elari looked down at her arms, the color deepening into a soft crimson gold blend. She breathed in slowly. "It's new to me, too." He sat down on a smooth rock near the lake. "Do you miss your home?" She didn't answer right away. "My home never felt like home," she finally said. "Not like this place. Not like now." He nodded. Taking a sip of his tea, they sat in silence for a while, only the wind and the soft hum of insects filling the air. Then Logan said, "You've changed everything." Elari turned to him, curious. "How?" "You showed them something they never knew existed," he replied. "You showed them truth without words." Her skin rippled with soft, violet deep thought. "You showed me something too," she whispered. "That kindness can be stronger." Then fear. A group of researchers approached later that evening, asking for one last test. They believed Elari could now control her emotional light, not just react, but guide it. Elari hesitated, unsure, but Logan gently placed a hand near her shoulder, not touching, just present. "You don't have to prove anything," he said. "But if you want to try, I'll be here." Elari stepped into the center of the research field. Sensors surrounded her, waiting to record whatever came. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She thought about all she had gone through: the chains, the shame, the slaps, the silence, the endless days of pretending to be gray. Then she thought of Logan's voice, his patience, his protection, his silly jokes, his steady presence. She thought about the first time he looked at her, not with pity, but with respect. Her skin began to glow, not like before, not flashing, not flickering, but blooming, slowly, like a flower opening in sunlight. The colors flowed together: rose, teal, gold, lavender, white, silver, and then something new appeared, a deep crimson glow with golden edges. It shimmered with warmth, depth, and something so powerful that even the machines froze for a moment. Dr. Anselm gasped. "We've never recorded that color before." The children, watching, whispered, "What is it?" And Logan, standing still, already knew the answer. Elari opened her eyes and looked straight at him. Her voice soft but steady. "Do you know what this color means?" Logan smiled gently. No. She stepped closer, her glow growing brighter but softer at the same time. "It means, I love you," she whispered. The crowd around them fell silent. No one moved, no one spoke, and Logan, after a moment of quiet, finally stepped forward and took her hand in his. He didn't need to say anything. Ely's skin spoke for both of them. The machines around them began to hum, picking up strange signals. The plants leaned slightly toward the couple, reacting to the emotional field. And the stars above seemed to shine just a little brighter. It was as if the universe itself had paused and approved. From that day, Elari began teaching others how to recognize and embrace emotions. She wasn't a mystery anymore. She was a teacher, a healer, a mirror of the soul. People from across systems came to learn from her not just how to glow, but how to feel without shame. And every night, Logan sat beside her, just like he had from the beginning. Not as her owner, not as her protector, but as her partner. The one who had touched her without breaking her. The one who had seen gold and chosen love.